Hi everyone, my name is Kaylin. I'm on the marketing team over here at GiveSome, and here I have with me Elizabeth Mahoney, the district governor of Rotary District 5495. Hello, Elizabeth.
No.
So I am just going to be asking Elizabeth some questions. So we're going to start off with sort of a who, what, when, where, and why on the week of service. So who's doing the week of service? What is it? When is it? Where is it taking place? A little why was it created? Just kind of an introduction to week of service.
Absolutely. So the week of service was a blessing that we pulled out of the pandemic, as awful as it's been. Is Rotary clubs haven't been able to serve in the same way that they traditionally had. However, they've probably done more work than they've ever done in service, in terms of working with first responders and being able to provide masks and protective equipment. And now that we're coming out the other side of the pandemic, at least with vaccines being distributed and some of the guidelines being loosened, we felt like what better way to engage our entire group of Rotarians than to bring a time together where we can all serve together and serve our communities together at the same time and include the community. So oftentimes in Rotary, those projects are done just within the club. And this really was intentional to say, let's engage community. We all want to give. We all are so grateful to be coming out of this other side after, being isolated for a year. And so that's really kind of how it came about. The other thing was in Rotary, we traditionally do a district conference, which is where everyone gets together and celebrates the year. And we're unable to do that this year. And we thought better than having just a couple hundred people get together, why don't we engage in our district, all 2,200 Rotarians, in doing what Rotarians love, which is service above self. So there has always been a Rotarians at Work Day, and it's the last Saturday in April. And that's where the dates came from. I mean, Rotarians are serving 365 days a year, but there was a day globally that we have Rotarians at Work Day. And so we said, let's turn that into a week. And it actually happened to align with National Volunteer Week and Earth Day. And so it was just super fun that we had a lot of things there that people could collaborate on and engage that with corporations and community. And so it's April 17th through the 24th is the week that we have chosen. I think any community or district could do Rotary Week of Service any week, but that's what we chose for our district. And so we have all of our clubs, which are about 65 in the upper 2/3 part of Arizona. We have invited our fellow Southern Arizona district, or District 5500, to participate. And we have all of our Rotaract clubs, which are our wonderful Rotarians age 18 and above. And then we have our Interact clubs, which are our middle school and high school students. And so we are doing multi-generational service that week, which is awesome.
That
So that's
is
kind of the story.
amazing. Thank you for
Yeah.
the response. That's perfect. And it's so inspiring just to hear you start this and you're really like just pioneering this really incredible whole week. So thank you for explaining that and talking a little bit about it. So regarding the week of service, what are you hoping some of the results will be?
Um, well, so what I love about this is as I've had the opportunity to not only travel in the communities within Arizona, but also just visit other Rotary clubs in my past history, you learn that every community has its own personality and every club has its own culture. So what might be needed right now in Kingman might be different than Lake Havasu City, might be different than Flagstaff, might be different than clearly the Navajo Nation, different than White Mountain, and then Phoenix, Glendale, Peoria, Chandler, et cetera. So what's awesome about this is our clubs get to determine what they think is the most impactful project for their community. And that is something that has been like a huge surprise and blessing is as they've been putting their projects online and be through GiveSome, through the site, and being able to see all those projects. And I'm like, have chills because one might be homeless veterans, the other one's Prescott area. They're doing a ginormous community food drive. Another one in Chandler, they're revamping an entire school district that has just been negatively impacted with the pandemic. And so all of them, like, I'm just like, because you can tell how much thought the clubs have put into what their specific community needs. even though we all are one big community, right? There's just little pockets of need, and definitely like the food banks are desperate. Our domestic violence shelters, they need so many supplies right now just because of what's happened during the pandemic, and their, capacity is at an all-time high, and their resources are at an all-time low. So to be able to step up, I think, and meet those needs and make the impact that Rotary believes in, that's incredible. Then the second part of that is, I think in our community, everybody wants to be able to get out and give right now. I think the pandemic has been awful in terms of isolation and in terms of not being able to like hug people and engage in the same way. And I think humans are meant to connect, and we're meant to love, and we're meant to give. And so this is an opportunity for our non-Rotarian neighbors to be able to be a part of that without, and know that they're doing it with an incredible organization that has vetted the projects and knows that there's a need and knows that the funds and resources and time are going to go to something that really is going to make an impact. So for me, it's like, it's multifaceted on that.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned, going digitally and having digital pages. It really ties in with the pandemic. Just sort of that need to have a voice on the online space to really kind of survive and adapt to everything that's happened with the tragedy that the pandemic has been. And especially for Rotary, I know a lot of Rotary clubs, sort of need that help of, having their voice in the online space. A lot of them are still checking cash. So that's why we're so happy and we're so excited that the week of service is being held on Give Some, that a bunch of different clubs have their own pages, because they deserve to have that expansion of their network and to connect with those who are outside of Rotary too, just cities and local communities, and so that they can see and help and donate and be a part of all the really awesome work that Rotarians are doing. So
Well,
it's
on
really
that part
exciting.
I'm thrilled about, because when you have the thing about Rotary that's really incredible is, as I said, every club has their own culture. And so every club has their own board and their own set of leaders. But what sometimes can happen is that means you have to have 65 clubs doing the research and vetting their own resources. And so our district leadership team this year just made a commitment where we said, if we do nothing else, I mean, we're always here to serve the clubs, but we wanted to be able to bring as many resources to the clubs as possible. And so throughout the year, like, we tried to have Zoom accounts opened up. We opened up a, Survey Monkey for the district. We did, trying to do online payment systems. I mean, just different things that we could streamline this move to online and the technology required. But when Give Some fell in our lap, because we researched, I'm not even kidding. We did a program called Step Up for Rotary, which was a multifaceted fundraiser for the district. And we researched probably 9 different companies and could not find, we found one that we settled with, but it wasn't one that really had what we wanted. But we just spent so much time researching as this leadership team. And so when when you guys found us and reached out based on the things we were doing, we were like, I don't know that we want to research again. We've like spent some time. But this is a true part, because I think for a lot of district governors, you have to trust what you're doing, and you have to really believe that, I mean, it's tough to bring something in front of all the clubs. It's very difficult to find something that's going to work for every club, because every club is in a different place. So when Sean was presenting this to us, and I'm looking at my fellow governors in our governor line, and I'm like, we all love it. I mean, we were so blown away, because what Give Some offers, it's so different, is a variety of things. One is you can highlight all your projects. So we have some clubs that have already put on there like their golf tournament and their, other fundraisers are doing in addition to Rotary Week of Service. Then we have projects that are global grants that are district wide. Like we have an amazing one, the Navajo Water Project. So we put that on there. We have the Rotary Vocational Fund of Arizona, which gives scholarships and grants to people who are, looking for a different career opportunity. So it might be someone getting CNA or, switching that career like ever so slightly, they give scholarships. We have that on there. We do a program called Crutches for Africa, where we bring in mobility devices for Kenya and for Mexico. Our high school students do this. And we send a 40-foot container every year. We have that project on there. And so we've never had the ability to collaborate in that way in one place, which is fantastic. And then the other part of that, though, is when I saw the Rotary Club of Newport Beach, whoever you are, hello. And I saw the members and I'm like, I just want to hang out with these people. Like,
Oh
this
my
is the
God.
best, because it has their profile pics.
Yes.
Right. And you actually can connect, you can connect with them, and it's not just, oh, that's nice, they do good things, and sure, Rotary, they do good things. It's, the stereotype of what Rotary is. You're actually seeing people you can relate to and connect to. And I'm like, I want all of our clubs to have this, So I'm so excited about Rotary Week of Service, but I'm equally as excited about what I think Give Some can add in the future as the clubs start exploring and engaging more in it, because we haven't even started that yet, because we're just focused on Rotary Week of Service right now. Like, I don't even know that the clubs know how fun and valuable it's going to be down the road for them. But we did. I mean, we're thrilled. Yeah.
I can't stop smiling listening to this, because it's just so good. And I even get chills listening to, helping the.
So have you seen this site? Have you gone to our site though yet?
I have. I've looked at it all. I've seen all the Give Some pages, but just listening you talk about it with so much passion and excitement gets me excited again listening to it. And I'm so glad that this is all happening and that Give Some can be here and help again expand the network,
because
all the data, all of it.
Well, what we don't talk about all the time is, you see little squares, right? But those squares translate to all the lives that are going to be changed. And that's what we talk about often, is you don't see the face on the other side. So like when you see the Prescott Food Drive, what I know through the work I've been able to do in Rotary is that that's going to translate to thousands of people who can actually feed family. They can have a dinner, right? And if that's one way that we can take stress out of their life for one night, for a mom or a dad to be able to feed their kids and just have a good night, like that's the impact. What a blessing. I had the opportunity to travel to Kenya with the group of interactors, and our very first stop was a lady who had been on the ground for 40 years because she contracted polio at the age of 4. And we were able to give her that wheelchair. And so not only was it giving a wheelchair, but she had dignity. She had the ability to live the second half of her life, get an education, go to the market, get produce for her family, the things that give us who we are, right? The person that we are. And so we think, oh, it's just giving that wheelchair. I'm going to donate that wheelchair. It's been in my garage for months. And I think so often we take for granted what that act of kindness really means, like really translates to. And I think for the community to be able to be a part of that with us is just awesome, and so we're going to try our best to have the Rotary Week of Service, and then also hopefully have a follow-up on here's what your efforts, here's how that made an impact, here's this amount of students that go to that school, or all the different projects. But right now we have 22 up. I know that we have 25 pending to get up there.
So exciting.
Clubs that are trying to get them up there. And so I think collectively it'll be somewhere around 50 projects in that week. And that's just a start. Hopefully this will be something that we can do every year.
What you're doing is revolutionary. It's so exciting. You're making such an impact in so many ways.
Well,
Again,
here's the difference though of what Give Some offers is Rotarians have always done this. Rotarians have been doing this for over 100 years. It's just, there's never been a platform to show it. There's never been anything that's been community facing that people wherever you live can go and say, wow, like look at the cool stuff that these Rotary clubs are doing. They would have to go to every single Rotary club's page and know to go there, take the time to look. And that's just not how this society works, right? Like we want to be able to look. and see impact. And that's, I think, what Give Some is offering. And that's why we're just so excited about the tool and what you guys are creating. And also what I love too is, Sean and Joanne and you, like everyone's been so amazing, Robert. And they're like, well, we can keep creating too, like as we come up with things that we think can even be better. That's also what I love, is it's not fully stagnant, that you guys are in a position where you're able to continue to work with nonprofits all over, even outside of Rotary. And I think really help that vision. So it's awesome. It's fun.
Thank you. And it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, Sean and Robert themselves are Rotarians. And so, they also love hearing input from, nonprofit leaders, but also just Rotarian club presidents, district governors like yourself, and just building and working with them to see what features can best help raise those funds, get more volunteers, just aid them in whatever amazing work they're doing.
This is a crazy story. So we've done zero advertising, right? Because our advertising starts April 1 and goes live. We had the site up. It only had like 5 projects on it. And we have Rotary Club of Camelback Crossroads, which is in Tempe, Arizona. They already got a call on their project from the community. They already had someone reach out to them and say, hey, tell me more about, they're doing tree planting. Tell me more about this. And on it, I have to tell you, I would have been fine with no calls the first year. Like I was like, let's just get them on there and we're going to have a site. This will be great for our clubs and hopefully maybe people see it. I am just so excited in a month from now to see what kind of response we'll get from it.
This is amazing. It's so exciting. That's so great.
I know.
I'm so happy to hear about the call, and hasn't even, so cool. It's the power of the internet and also the power of, I don't know, Rotary finally, especially your district, having a voice that can, like I said, before, on the online space that was so lacking.
So when I was going for district governor, you train 3 years in advance. And so you do think about over those 3 years, like, what do you want? And I did say in my goals, I said, any club that does great work together, serves, makes an impact, and has fun. That is 2 key. There's a lot of other things, but those are 2 ingredients that a club has to have to be a thriving club. You have to enjoy your time together, spend time together, have fun, and you need to be helping people and doing great work, whatever that means to that club. And so I said when I did my district governor visits that I wanted to do the normal visit, but then I also wanted to come out an additional time to join them and volunteer in service, whatever they wanted to come up with. So we had said that all along. And so when everything got canceled because of the pandemic, so like all of my club visits are virtual and like my classmates, and then we couldn't do district events and everything was virtual. That's when we kind of were like, we still need the service component to be there. And so that did inspire this, but this was never the plan, right? That kind of happened as we just worked.
There we go.
Okay. So yeah, this is the billboard. So so the thought is here that we are driving everybody to the site, right? And we felt like less is more, because if we put a ton of stuff on here, then it's going to get lost. And so azrotary.org, as you know, is the site where all the projects are, the Give Some site. And then we have our week of service. But the key thing on this was we said, join us. Like that was the whole thing. Like we wanted people come join us in what we're doing. And then you have Rotary Week of Service and our wonderful partner, American Furniture Warehouse, who came on board with this. So we have 5 billboards on our major freeways. So I-10, I-40, I-17, the 51, and one other one, maybe 2 on I-10, one from the West Valley and one from the East Valley. And then we have print media similar to this ad all over the state. And then we also are doing the TV spots as well. So we're hoping, it's beautiful. I love it so much.
It's beautiful. It's bright, it's eye-catching, it's happy. It looks so good. You get those top photos of everyone doing their wonderful service. It looks so good. It looks so amazing. I'm very excited for you all. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then District Governor Brett elect, he's going to be the district governor after me, Brett McKean. He came from the marketing background, and he's amazing. And he put together, and I'll share this with you. So today this is our district website, and we're going to change this so that this will be the Rotary Week of Service link that will go to the Give Some site. But then here he created Rotary Week of Service, and he put the entire marketing assets for all the clubs. So they have like a fillable press release, the mayor's proclamation, the ads, the logos, the brochure, like everything they need, so that nothing had to be created by the clubs. We created everything so that they just had it in a package.
So
Hopefully
awesome.
that'll be helpful.
Those are such good resources, and you are so proactive. And again, just really, it's all revolutionary stuff. It's amazing. And I want to lead with this. Thank you for sharing those, by the way. It's so wonderful. I wanted to lead with this into the question of, since we were talking about how you are district governor, and I want to ask one, what has been your strategy to help Rotary reach a younger audience? Because I do know that that's something we hear from clubs they struggle with, is how can we reach a younger audience? And then two, since you're finishing up your term, how would you sort of like to just keep serving Rotary after your term? But we'll start with reaching a younger audience. What's
Yeah.
your strategy for that?
So I joined Rotary at a younger age. I was I think I was like 30 or 29 when I joined Rotary. And so I always kind of fit into that young professional demographic. And but here was the really cool thing is the club that I joined is the Rotary Club of Sun City. And the average age at that time is a retirement community. So it was about 75 to 80. And so I contradicted all the rules, right? The rules were, a young person has to be with young people and they have to have a different thing. And I found that the value of Rotary really was the co-collaboration. It was mentorship with people who had had these amazing careers. We had a 4-star general in our club. We had marketing execs. We had, former CEOs of, we had an administrator of a hospital, a former CEO. And for me, it was just super neat to hear, how did they live their life? I mean, how did they balance family? Do they have any regrets? Do they, what are things they're still looking to make an impact in their stage, right? Where they are, until age 100. And so how can we make all that happen? And then in turn, as I was raising my son, there were things where they were like, your son really should participate in Rotary Youth Leadership Awards and Rotary Youth Exchange. And I would have never considered those things. Truly, I would have never considered. My son spent a year in Italy. And as a parent, that was never on like the list. He graduated early from high school because of Rotary and spent his senior year in Sardinia, and is a completely different human being in a beautiful way because of it. So Rotary gives so much back to that younger audience. And I think what we have to do a better job of is sharing that. Like, we can help you in a young professional setting. We can guide, there's mentor available, guiding, principles, leadership development, the ability, I think, to connect people with opportunities and jobs, help with parenting, help with, new marriages, young marriages, how to put together budgets and finances. And so my point is that it's such a beautiful network of giving. But we have to do better in telling our story. And so that's where I think that online platform comes in. And I think that one thing that I really appreciated again about the Rotary Club of Newport Beach is when you look at their projects, they had on there Ryla for the younger kids. They also had on there a project for collecting plastic bottles along the beach, which we know that environment is really important to our younger generation. And so it was a club, but they also had helping veterans. They had, their projects showed a multi-generational approach of reaching causes that I think many people care about. And so for the younger generation, we're going to have to do that through a digital platform, because that's the only place that they're living. And, the difference that I think and I don't want to say like I don't want to name other organizations in a negative way, but I'll say this, like LinkedIn has a wonderful program that they do for good. Google's putting that together, Amazon gives, but what Rotary gives is that human connection. like that human touch of in person, or being able to do the direct hands-on or direct mentorship opportunity. Like us meeting, right? You never know where that relationship is going to go. And that to me is what Rotary has given me, is meeting people I would have never otherwise met. So I think that we've missed the boat in thinking that we have to recreate new clubs for young people, or, you have to have, dues at zero cost. Here's what I know. My kid is 23. If he will spend $7 on a coffee, if he wants one, the reason he's not, he's in Rotary, but the reason his friends aren't spending money on dues is because they haven't perceived the value that Rotary offers.
And I think it's because they don't know.
I
Like
don't know.
I'm 23 myself. It's funny, your son and I are the same age, and I had never heard of Rotary until I started my position with Give Some, and I started hearing about it, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is wonderful. Why do not more people not know about this? And hearing you talk about Rotary, it makes me want to join, and I want to be a part of it too. And so I'm serious. I seriously I mean it. And I mean, it gives them. We've worked really hard to make our pages, like intuitive and attractive for all organizations to promote themselves, get themselves out there. And so, on this topic, do you think that the Give Some platform can make it easier for Rotary clubs, districts, overall to communicate and make themselves more relevant for young professionals?
100%. 100%. And I think that unfortunately the platforms we've been using are they haven't innovated fast enough. And I think what's beautiful about Give Some is because it's fresh and new. And when Sean and Robert came together, being in Rotary, they kind of automatically identified the gaps. And so that's why I'm talking about, like, with those profile pics of members, being able to like go online and see faces. And then the cool thing, you can click on it and then it shows what their interests are. So like my interest might be XYZ cause, and my fellow Rotarian wants to, save animals, and the next one wants to save the environment. We can all be that and still be in the same club and still have our identity of the things we're passionate about. And Give Some shares that in a way that no other site does. And I think that that is so needed moving forward. I do think, to your point, there's so many great things that Rotary offers nobody knows about. Like, there's an ability for vocational training in other countries at your age that you could say, I'm into marketing. I want to go to Germany and learn how they do it there and shadow them and be home hosted by Rotarians. And then they come back here and they shadow you and they learn skills here. And now you have this, inter-country beautiful relationship happening, global connections. And, that's the thing. I mean, Rotary is a global organization, but in the past, and this is where it came from, the motto for Rotary is service above self. Now we say people of action, but it's for service above self. And so everybody still has the mindset, of course, that you give because you want to give, not because you want the credit. Right. And so everyone's very humble about it. And you don't say, like, look at us, look at the great things we're doing. That's not why the giving occurs. But the problem is, if you don't tell the story, nobody knows of the opportunities that are there. And so that's what I love about what we're creating with Give Some, is it's a way to present the opportunities without taking credit and being arrogant. Right? Like, you can see all the great work that Rotary clubs are working on, but it's saying, come join us in this opportunity. It's not saying, look at us, we did such a great job. So I think it's such a perfect fit for a humble organization that's trying to get the word out and wants to do it in a way that's inviting and not, you know what I mean? Not trying to take credit for it.
Yes, I absolutely know what you mean. I just can't, my cheeks are starting to hurt because I'm smiling listening to you speak with so much passion and just, I don't know, there's purely good intentions. And I think you just put it into words so perfectly, the message of Rotary and, how innovative your district is and how there is that hope and future for the next generation of Rotarians as well to continue this. So it's just really exciting to hear it.
I believe that this is such a great launch pad for where we're headed and where we want to go. And, you know, you asked the question, where do I see where do I see myself after governor? Well, I don't know yet. You know, I mean, I've always said in Rotary that I say yes. Just say yes to amazing opportunities because I may not feel like I'm like even governor, you know, I mean, I'm one of the younger governors. And so you wonder, like, are you qualified for that position? Or, you know, should you wait till you retire? And, you know, and I just said, no, I mean, I think we all have something to give regardless of what age we are, regardless of what age we are. And so if we put ourselves out there, then, you know, we can show up for that. And so that's kind of where I'm at, is I'll see where those next opportunities show up, and, you know, hopefully be present and, you know, ready to do those. But what I will say is I'm very passionate about the Rotary Foundation. When you take time to research it, it is the best foundation. It's the highest ranking by Charity Navigator over 5 years. We have 100%, we have a perfect score. So when you look at the nonprofits, the big names that, you know, Rotary Foundation outscores those. And so the reason for that is the Rotarians do the work. And so the resources go to the projects and the impact, and not to a bunch of overhead cost and filler. But where I also think Rotary is amazing is young professionals and youth. And I think that that will continue to be the focus of, you know, our future leaders. That's the only way you're going to have global change, is if your future leaders are equipped for that positive change. And so that's a really big part of what Rotary believes in. So I think that will show up and Give Some at some point. We'll probably have components of that I'm sure Sean and Robert will build. I asked them to put the vocation under the member profile, because I think it's really great if someone could connect with someone else in their own vocation. I think that'll be awesome, you know, so there's a lot of opportunity also still in that.
I think that's a super smart idea. And especially if this is something that you've suggested to them, I already know they're on it. they just also appreciate you so much. So I know that they'll be excited to get on to that.
You guys, I mean, the service that this needs to go in the film. The service that Give Some has provided to our clubs is unbelievable. Meaning, I mean, just, you know, for a lot of Rotarians, technology is burdensome. I would even say scary. I would say they're worried about breaking it. You know, they don't want to learn, you know, it's not wanting to learn it because they don't want to learn, but it's intense. And, you know, it's not natural if you haven't been in that space. And so to have this new site come on you, and you have to put in a project and do this and do that, to your point on it being intuitive, I mean, it's fabulous. It's so easy to use. But if you do get stuck, your customer service is amazing, where someone doesn't feel like, you know what, it's too hard, done, I'm just going to move on and not do it. And that's the value for Rotarians is, you know, you will be successful. You're not going to feel like you know what I mean? Like, took on this project and left it halfway done. And I can see that because I can see all the projects that our clubs have put on there. If it was hard to use, we wouldn't have had any projects on there.
I'm so glad. This is such good feedback to hear, and we're so happy to hear that. You just leave me speechless. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. Another thing I want to ask is, you know, if another district governor or club president were to ask you why they should use the Give Some platform, what would your answer be?
The short answer would be, it's the best tool I've ever seen that directly connects to community. Like, it tells the story of the club first sight. And that's because you have access to the opportunities right away, and you have access to the profile of the members right away. And it's different than looking at social media where you just see a picture of a check. And so I think I mentioned that a little bit earlier, like, instead of the feeling being, oh, that's nice, they do good things, the feeling is, wow, they do incredible things. Look at those projects and look at those cool people, and I want to know them and I want to be a part of that. So it's a very different feeling you have when going to the site. The other part is, again, the co-collaboration of your Give Some is fabulous. I mean, in the sense of just the customer service is outstanding. You can't call anybody at Facebook. You can't call anybody at Instagram. Other platforms, you have to only send an email, and you might get a return email 3 days later. That has not been my experience with Give Some at all. You guys have just been amazing. So I just think it's such a wonderful partnership.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm going to ask one more question. So do you think that Gibson's pro services are a good value for districts and clubs?
I do. But this has been something that has been a big question from our clubs. So, you have the version that's free, which is, you have access to it, and that would be more self-directed. And then you obviously have the charges for the fees of the donate the credit cards like normal. And then you have the pro service. And the pro service is that concierge service where you guys can really come in and help. For the pro service, I think for clubs that ever do any sort of major fundraising, unbelievable value, in the sense of being able to get it out there, have your volunteer hours, have your volunteer shifts, have the ability to fundraise, have the ability to honor sponsors, have your registration list, like all of that just built in. And when you compare it to like an Eventbrite or, some of the other sources, I mean, it has so many more features, I think, that are better. But this is what I would say. When I did the research on those websites, when I was telling you I was doing that global multi fundraiser for the district, the average cost was 5,000 to 10,000 to like set up a multi-club concept. Okay. And so then I was like, well, let's just look at it one club at a time. Even still, there was a monthly cost to have that running, and there were still the credit card fees. But there was no concierge. There was no access to a person. It was just access to the technology. And so the value that I think Gibson provides is the fact that you have access to the technology. The tools are incredible, but also that you have access to resources to help you. So I got stuck once on trying to put a calendar entry in for my club's golf tournament, on the Gibson site. And I literally had a response within 10 minutes. I mean, I don't want to set unrealistic expectations, but I can just say from my perspective, it's been fantastic. But that's, I mean, it's the service that comes with it. And I think that we have to understand there's a cost to pay for that service. And I think for a club that's a smaller club who maybe doesn't have the manpower within the club to do it, to have someone be able to partner with you and do that for you is really awesome as well. Because the manpower in the clubs it's really tough. We're already volunteering in so many ways, and to take on more and more and more, this is definitely a really cool thing. I don't call it like outsourcing, I call it collaborating and partnering. You're bringing on Gibson as a partner to your club.
Awesome. Wonderful. I'll ask one last thing to wrap it up. I'm so excited about these billboards.
I am too. I'm so excited about these billboards.
It's so cool. It's so cool. I want to hear a little about the marketing of Week of Service. Like, how did you even think to do billboards or all of it? This is like just so awesome.
I'm pretty red. I gotta like filter my redness out. But part of it is there's two main parts. Is that I definitely am like a big visionary, and so when we started talking about it, I was like, you guys, we have to be on TV, we have to do billboards, and we have to get it out there. And I was like, we need to share our story of what we're doing. And but I lucked out that we picked the best district governor-elect, because Brett has a history of marketing. That's what he does. And so he's like, I got it. I know who to call the billboard guy. I know who to call for the paper. And Brett did it. But what we also did, though, is for the first time ever, again, as I talked to you about kind of Rotary being so effective in all the money going to the projects, we had kind of had an unspoken rule that we never paid for marketing, ever. It's not good use of money, right? Because we need the money to go to the service. And so one thing that happened this year because of the pandemic is we had to cancel our district conference. Well, we had an allocation to that district conference, and we had already waived the dues for our members for half the year. And so, because we were able to save a ton of money by not doing the things we normally do. And so we, as a governor line, said, you know what, let's make this a year that we invest in this. We invest in the district. Marketing is an investment. And so what we did is we took those district conference dollars that we would have otherwise used, and that's how we redeployed it into marketing. And then, our hope in the future is that we'll be able to build in sponsors. Like once they see the value in this, we'll be able to get some corporate sponsors. With this year, amazing partner, American Furniture Warehouse, has been a beautiful partner of ours for years with the Crutches for Africa program and our Interact program. they agreed to come on as a corporate sponsor this first year, but we're hoping in the future that some of those sponsorship opportunities can cover the cost of marketing. And we see the value of investing in the district. How can we expect to get new members in Rotary, again, if they don't know who we are? And so even just putting the brand out there on such a in your face way, I'm so thrilled about. I'm so thrilled about Arizona learning what Rotary is. I mean, I hope that they see it. I hope it'll be fun.
I think it's amazing. Again, innovative. You are totally a pioneer. It's awesome. And I think people just hearing you speak so passionately about Rotary, people 1000% deserve to know and hear. And I think it's almost a service to people if they don't know about it. I mean, people should know that there's these resources out there. There's people trying to help, giving back to the community. It should be talked about and spoken about because anyone could join it and it could benefit their lives. And
Well, I totally agree, and thank you for that. I think the biggest misunderstanding for Rotary is people view Rotary as a nonprofit. So they think, okay, I've got, Salvation Army, I've got Rotary, I've got Habitat for Humanity, I've got United Way, I've got American Red Cross, blah 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 blah. Right? The list is endless of these amazing organizations. But what they don't know is Rotary serves those amazing organizations. And so the reason I joined is I was on a board, I was on like 9 boards and I loved all these causes. And when I went to my very first Rotary meeting, they said, we give to all those 9 causes. And I said, no, I don't understand. They said, well, that's what Rotary is. It's a group of people that come together and you give to your community. So you pick the causes. And I realized in that moment, I could be in one place and serve tens of hundreds of nonprofits at the same place and collaborate. You're not in competition with another nonprofit, you're serving the nonprofits. And so I think when the community finally realizes that Rotary offers that ability to serve with no agenda, people will really see the beauty of Rotary.
That's wonderful. I think District 5495 has been very fortunate to have you as their district governor, and I'm excited also for Brett. Congrats to him. It's super exciting. And I think that, if any Rotary Club president or upcoming district governor is listening or hearing, they can find inspiration from the work that you've done, the work that you're doing, and the work that is to be done with your district. And they can really sort of, again, like I mentioned, just find inspiration and try to do some of the things that you all are doing because it seems to be very successful in just giving back, uniting your community, and just doing overall good in so many ways. And which is our motto. Our motto is inspiring good. So you definitely inspire good in many ways. So I'm so glad.
You are so sweet, and thank you. And here's our vision, Kaylin. This is our vision together. If we can have Rotary, at least in the western half of the United States, if not the whole country, how cool would it be if we had a Rotary Week of Service as a broad project? I think that would just be amazing. So we'll start here in Arizona, and then hopefully our friends, fellow district governors and club presidents, you are invited to be a part of this every year, and we could really show, I think, people what Rotary is all about.
Wonderful. Well, we wish you the best of luck. We know it's going to go great for the first ever week of service. And thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us about it, talk to the partnership of Give Some and District 5495. And yeah, just thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.